What up, people? It's your boy Chig from Gooner Eagle Eye, coming to you again with a video. You guys thought I forgot. I didn't. I just have come back from a couple of work things really late, so hence this. So I'm not even really readily prepared for this. So hold on, let me just turn some shit on. Hold on one sec. There you go, can see my ugly mug a little bit better now. Right, so I figured this would be the first of two videos. My second video will be my preview about Swansea, and I'll pin that straight onto my profile. This video will eventually be pinned, but it'll be pinned probably, I would say, throughout Saturday, so keep an eye on that. If you're not following me on Twitter, do follow me at Colossal Chig. That's Colossal Chig, all one word, CHIG, all one word. For all my kind of things, random stuff that I usually post on Twitter, usual mess. Similarly, if you're listening to me for the first time and you're not already subscribed, just go down below and hit that subscribe button. You'll get a little bit from me. First things first, though, I wanted to talk about, well, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of been happening around us. So I figured the best thing to do would be to address that and talk to you guys about what I feel about some of those things that have happened. So let's just start off with something positive, because we're always accused as Arsenal fans that we're never positive. So let's start with some good news, and that is we managed to get people signed to a long-term deal. Yes, as far as I'm concerned. Great news. Listen, no, it's not the big two. It's not the two that we do want signed up to long-term deals. But let's make no mistake, the three that have signed are important players for Arsenal. And Olivier Giroud, Francis Coquelin, and Lauren Koscielny. Fantastic news. I woke up to that this morning. I felt that was really great news. Really encouraging stuff from Arsenal. Bit surprised. I mean, the thing is, people are talking about, oh, well, what about Ozil? What about Sanchez? Knock. What about Santi? People are forgetting. Santi's got like less than 6 months left of his contract. I think probably the priority at the moment is still trying to get Ozil and Sanchez signed up. I just have a sneaky suspicion that Jack is also in that mix. So I think the next priority there also will be to make sure that Jack signs up. For Arsenal to be so lax regarding Santi's situation, they must really feel that maybe Jack is the guy to step into that Santi role eventually, maybe playing alongside Coquelin or playing alongside Xhaka. So I suppose what we're seeing with Jack and the experiment at Bournemouth is, you know, if he can go through a season without getting injured, without picking up horrible injuries, that maybe he'll be the guy to eventually essentially replace Santi. It just feels silly that we haven't called him back. I think there's this new kind of belief that because the loan fee was so high, we've then foregoed our right to recall him back, because I guess makes sense, you know. Let's just say Bournemouth, and apparently this figure's been banded around, but apparently Bournemouth paid nearly 10 million to bring Jack on board for a season. If I'm paying 10 million, you can fuck off with that with that recall option. So I can kind of understand it from Bournemouth's point of view. From Arsenal's point of view, it's just ridiculous. It's just more penny pinching crap from Arsenal. It's just so silly and so short-sighted, and that is more reason why I don't understand why we're not genuinely looking at that about loaning Isco. Now, I know you guys are expecting me to talk about another transfer rumor of someone who could potentially also step in, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But for me, Isco just feels like another signing that I think would just lift the fans a little bit at a time where I feel like we do need to get behind the team, particularly if we have any chance of encouraging them to push on for honours. So for me, I think it's fundamentally important. Sorry, I just realized something. My phone was right by the speakers, so if up until now the sound's been a little bit weird, I apologize. It will stop now. So yeah, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, so for me, Isco just feels like the type of player that could easily step in and potentially push someone like a Ramsey. And yeah, all right, people will sit there and say, yeah, but you've always hated Ramsey. Listen, unless your name is Was the Gooner, who seems to be completely blinded, in a way, I admire him because no matter what performance this man turns in, he has this unshakable faith in him, and I wish I had that. For me, I've never had that in Ramsey. I have never had that in him, and you can't be telling me that we don't need someone there, particularly when people are asking Wenger, so when's Santi going to be back, and he literally does this. I don't know. Like, that for me should send some sort of alarm bell to Villa saying, you know what, maybe I should look at some loan options. Which I suppose, how can you not link it when I'm talking about this subject? I suppose that brings me on to my next subject, and that is Dimitri Payet. Another really shocking thing I woke up to this morning, because it always struck me as quite a loyal player, particularly after the World Cup. I think he's quite recently signed a contract with West Ham, like a long-term contract with West Ham. And he came, and I saw him in the World Cup, and he was killing it at the World Cup. And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, oh, shit, West Ham are screwed, because I just assumed that, you know, he'd want to leave. He likes the idea of being in the limelight. He likes the idea of playing for a big team, playing for France. He's seeing all these world-class talents, and you go, but with all due respect to West Ham, how many world-class talents do you really have? I kind of just assumed he would leave in the summer anyway. But then he kind of committed himself to West Ham, and he stayed by all intents and purposes. And I guess his reasoning for that was because West Ham are just that type of club, man. Listen, West Ham, I probably shouldn't say this as a Gooner. I've always kind of liked West Ham. I do. I don't even particularly hate on them for having a free stadium. Good on you. That's the way I see it. I probably shouldn't say that, but I do. I've always kind of liked West Ham. I don't really get the whole bubble thing, but I guess it's not for me to get. They seem like a club. We both share this hatred for Tottenham. So the way I see it is I don't have anything against West Ham. Having said that, I kind of just assumed that, he'd want to move on to a bigger club. But then he kind of committed himself, and I just thought, okay, he was fine, he was settled. And I guess he kind of assumed, sorry, that was where my train of thought was going. He assumed that West Ham would be a club that would be on the up and up. They'd invest in good quality. They brought in AU, who was killing it for Swansea. So I just assumed, because on paper at least, West Ham have a better team than Swansea. So I assumed that he would also add something to the table. But here's the thing with West Ham. I don't think they buy very smartly. That's their problem. They brought in that Inter Milan striker who I knew was going to flop. And shock horror, he flopped. All right, they bought him in on loan. But I can guarantee you that was an expensive loan fee. Right? Then they bought in AU, who hasn't done anything. They still have Carroll on the books. At this point, I'm pretty sure he plays maybe 5 matches in a season. And usually two of those matches tend to be against Arsenal. So I don't get it. I don't understand it. They have a gem of a player in Michael Antonio. My mate won't believe me when he sees this on when he watches this later on. I know he has Michael Antonio. There is no amount of convincing he can do to tell me he does not have Michael Antonio in our fantasy football team, right? Now, because it's our own private league, money's on the line, so there's a lot of bluffing that goes on between the four of us in that league. So we're always trying to guess each other's players. I am convinced, because every time this guy scores, suddenly he has the points that suggest that that player scored for him. It's like clockwork. So he has this unshakable faith in Antonio. I like Antonio as a player, but quite frankly, he's too expensive to fit in my team. So I leave him out of my team. So I do rate Antonio. I just personally don't have him in my fantasy football team. Other than that, Reed is okay. But that's... And their goalie is all right. They've got a couple of good goalies. I can't really think of another player that they have that's good. I know I'm missing... I feel like I'm missing someone glaring, but the fact that I can't even remember shows you how nonplussed you are to a West Ham team. They're just kind of like, they're kind of there. You know, they're there or thereabouts. So I think if you're Payet, you're looking around you and thinking to yourself, blimey, I am so much better than literally everyone on this team. He hasn't gone about it the right way. He should have asked for maybe a transfer, maybe either the beginning of this season or the end of this season. To do it halfway through, when West Ham are in a lot of trouble, what exactly do you want West Ham to do? From West Ham's point of view, I feel like you may as well sell him and see if you can get a decent player for a 30 to 40 million. From our point of view, because you obviously ain't come... I'm assuming if you listen to this, you ain't come on to listen to about West Ham. You come on to listen to how this relates to us. Do I believe he can do a good job in that Santi role? Yes, I do. He's not a... I feel like because he's 29, he's going on to 30. There was another 29 going on to 30 that changed his position. And that name, and the name of that person was Santi. Remember, Santi used to be a winger. He used to be an attacking midfielder. Remember that? And then Wenger, every now and again, this old man can get it right. And he dropped Santi deeper because he figured that he'd be perfect for that quarterback role. And every season since that he's had a major injury, we suddenly mess up. Like, we don't have control of a midfield the way that we normally do. If we're honest, and this is just if we're honest, Xhaka has last couple of games has just not been the same. I kind of assumed he would take up that role, but I don't think he can, to be perfectly honest. You guys know my feelings on Ramsey, so I won't go into it. Yes, he did play well. Second half of the Preston game. But for me, he's not creative enough. I just don't see it. Yes, I think he plays better for Wales because I think Wales more or less tell him, do what you want. And so he just runs around like a headless chicken and does what he wants. But I still don't think he's creative, even in a Wales team. So, why not Payet? I feel like if there's some sort of deal to be made, I think West Ham would be silly. It'd be sheer stubbornness to keep him if he's that unhappy. And yeah, you know what? That's coming from me. And you know what? Maybe I'm not in West Ham's shoes because I'll be cursing Alexis or Ozil out if they did the same to us. And I say, well, let's not sell him. Let's keep him on the bench. And that's from a stubborn hand point of view. So I'm speaking at this as merely an outsider and as merely as someone. And yes, all right, there's a little bit of bias because I kind of want the player. I don't think Wenger will get the player, which is why I still feel like this is a valid point. And that is, what is the point holding on to him? If he really, really wants to go, you guys still have enough to... It's the 30th, as I record this, it's the early hours of the 13th of January. You may as well let him go. You can easily get 30 plus million for Payet. In today's market, absolutely. You can go and get yourself a decent player. Like, You guys have been after Snodgrass. Now, you laugh at that. I'm not trying to compare Payet to Snodgrass before you say it. All I'm saying is you guys are bidding earlier for Snodgrass. There ain't no way Hull is selling one of their, probably their best player for 5 million. So if you guys are that short of cash, why not sell Payet and bring in a couple of players? Why not? I personally don't. I don't. It's not like he's even been particularly killing it for you guys this season. As I alluded to earlier, West Ham's star player, in my opinion, has been Michael Antonio this season. So the way I see it is, you may as well take Payet out and see if you can go and get yourself some gems. What have you got to lose at this point? So if he becomes available, and I don't expect him to become available, but if he does, should Wenger look at him? It's a difficult one. And here's why I say it's a difficult one. If you're watching this for the first time, you'll be thinking to yourself, well, it's a no-brainer. Go and get him. See, I don't think it's as simple as that. On the one hand, of course, who the hell wouldn't want a player of Payet's quality? You know, especially because I think dead ball situations, I think, were useless. Set pieces, I think, not just attacking set pieces, but taking set pieces, I think were useless. Free kicks, we're not particularly good at. We're not. All right, Sanchez takes a good free kick. Ozil takes a good free kick. But you never ever think, when there's a free kick in and around the box, you're never really, if you're being truthful, you're never really expecting us to score. So I would like that threat. Corners, don't get me started. And we're a team who plays with a striker like Giroud up front. We need a decent set-piece taker. So that's the type of threat and the type of quality that I would like. He obviously has that kind of Santi-esque type of control about him. Whenever you see him playing the ball, he always looks very calm, almost nonchalant, but not in an Ozil type of way, in more of a kind of, I've got this type of way, which I really like about him. I think as he gets older, I think naturally he's going to transition from a number 10 to a number 8 anyway. But I think it seems to me that Wenger seems to be planning for life without Santi anyway. So if that's the case, a 29 to 30-year-old who might be able to give us 2-3 seasons of quality football, those are the type of signings that win you titles. So that's my first point. So you're saying, well, Chris, well, what are you talking about? You've just said you're not so sure. Let me play devil's advocate and have a counter to this. Jack Wilshere is the counter to this. Now, I hear you laughing, but hold on a second. Something is wrong with the way we train. It must be, because we're in January and Jack Wilshere is still playing football. So what is going on here? Because he's never done that for us, as far as I'm aware. By the time it hits January, Jack is in the midst of a long-term injury, or he's had a couple of really lengthy injuries, and he's only just about started playing. So something is wrong, because what is happening here? And I feel like if Jack gets through this season, then he has a legitimate stake to a number 8 spot in the team, which, in my opinion, is where he should be playing. I know a lot of people feel like he should be a number 10. I'm not so sure. I feel like he likes to be involved. I feel like he likes to tackle. But I also like the fact that he kind of plays the quarterback role in a different way to Santi. So Santi is more of a kind of a dribbler, but he also can distribute. I don't necessarily see Jack as a distributor. Jack can dribble. He can really dribble. And he likes to tackle, like I've said before. And personally, I think if you can get through the season and really prove his fitness, why not start him in that number 8 role? For me, I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer to me, because I'd rather have him over Ramsey. I'll tell you that for free. And if we do let Santi go, and I'm still not convinced we should, but if we do let Santi go, then there's an argument that, well, why do we need Payet? Jack is ready to come in next season. But then here's the thing. If you do that, what you're essentially saying is you give up on the title this season. If you still have ambitions to win a title, Payet is the signing you make. It's as simple as that. And I guess this is where people like Colin and people like DT and people like Troops and so on and so on and so on make valid points. You show your ambition sometimes in not only the tactics you make, but in the transfer activity that you make as well. For me, it's not just about on-field tactics. It's about general tactics. Where are we losing this season? Why are we conceding so much possession? Why are we conceding so many goals? Why are we conceding control over games? When's the last time Arsenal controlled a game and won it well? Chelsea, maybe? And it's no coincidence who was playing in that Chelsea game. I'll give you a hint. It wasn't just Coquelin. It was Santi, who, along with Coquelin, controlled that game. And I feel like if you know that you're losing Santi, you don't know when he's back. Coquelin is injured. You have Xhaka, who's still settling into the club. You have Ramsey, who you literally take it game by game to see what he will do or won't do. You can't call Jack back. Are you just going to watch this title slip away? Or are you going to seize control and say to yourself, you know what? We're having Payet. There's your 20 million. There's your 30 million. Just give him to us. So for me, what would I do? I would do everything possible to make that Payet signing. Because for me, it's a must that we at least try to push for this title. Now, I don't think we'll win it. You don't probably think we'll win it. And if you're not a fan of this club and you're watching this video, you definitely don't think Arsenal are winning it. But if you have some sort of ambition to win a title and you want to try and at least convince us as a fan group that, look, I know that over the past few years, you guys have been upset with me, Arsene Wenger. I'm going to sign this 2-year extension. But here's what I'm going to do to show you that I'm ready to challenge for this title. I'm going to make a big statement. I'm going to show the fan base that this is what I'm about, that this is what I want. I'm going to sign Payet. I'm a Wenger out, but it would at least show me some sort of different type of mentality. That's what people do when they want to win things. Is they assess, they're honest with themselves, they assess and they strengthen where possible. And we need strengthening. This isn't one of those times where us as a fan group have to make noise constantly on Twitter until Wenger finally pulls that checkbook out and must fly out. This is the time where Wenger is honest and says to himself, okay, how do I make this stronger? Our core of the team is weak. Why? And then go ahead and do it. If he does that, who knows what we'll do this season? But 8 points behind, and there's still 4 teams we've got to get past. We're 5th. We're not even our usual 4th place. We're 5th right now. Please, man. If there is a way of making this Payet thing happen in January, push for it. At least you'll show us as a fan group that you still want to win this thing. All right. Yeah, that's my rant over. So if you guys like what I've been talking about today, do comment down below. You guys know I don't normally monitor the chat. I should really monitor the chat when I do these videos in the future. I will start to. If you're listening to me for the first time, do hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to me live, bear with me 2 minutes. I'm going to do my preview video shortly. All right, I'm out of it. Take care. Peace.